Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Alex Hurd, and welcome to the Conscious Father Show. I'm really excited about today's topic. Tom, I feel as though I am going to be your support network during this show because you shared a lot of wonderful information with me the other day on your car ride home. So right now, I'd like to introduce Tom Hilgardner.
Hey, everyone. How you doing? Alex, thanks so much, man. It's good to be here with you, and I'm excited about this conversation. My family's life has taken somewhat of a turn in the last month. My wife was unexpectedly sought out by a company and employed a couple months ago. And so we did a reverse role. We both felt that the age of our kids being 2 and 5 months, that for us as parents at this stage, that it's so important that one of us is a big presence in their day-to-day life. Rather than putting them into a daycare or a babysitter, which is, fine for other parents, but for us, we just really wanted one of us to be there. So we did a role swap. And so I, in the last 4 weeks, have been having the joy and the challenge of being a stay-at-home father. So I wanted to talk with you about what some of those challenges have been this past week. And I'm probably going to lean a little bit more into the challenge just by nature, but I just want to put a little side note that there's been equally, if not more, joy and happiness in this 4 weeks of experience.
But sometimes you don't realize, sometimes you don't feel that or see that until way afterwards.
Totally.
Because when you're caught up in it and it's coming down on you and you're covered in baby poop and food and you haven't taken a shower in 3 days and you haven't brushed your teeth in a month, it's hard to see that, right? And I shared that with you on my way home the other day is you had a really true moment with me just talking about this subject. And I shared with you that there were certain times when my daughters were born and I'd walk through the door after a day of work and Jen literally would want to punch me directly in the face because I had no idea what she just went through during the day. Right? And I couldn't understand it. So I just thought that she was being unreasonable. And now through my daughters are 7 and 5 and listening to what you have to say, like I have a better empathy.
Yeah. And I, was a working father for 2 years, going to, a 9-to-5 job, and my wife stayed home with the kids. And, I thought that I understood. And I have, so many apologies for coming home and saying, making, little comments like, didn't do the dishes, you didn't do this, you didn't make the bed, Now it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me a million times. But, I blame, and I am going to use that word seriously, I'm going to blame the Chicago weather for so much of my struggle with the kids this week. This week was a really tough week. First couple of weeks, we had an unusual mid-50 degree January weather here in Chicago. It's been a fairly mild winter this year. But this week, we topped down to like 10 degrees. It's bare bones cold, and it's just weather that I just choose not to get the kids out. What that means is I've got 5 straight days of 10 hours of watching Thomas the Train or playing Thomas the Train or talking about Thomas the Train or reading books about Thomas the Train, all while trying to feed and coddle. And so I hit a wall within myself, and it usually happens at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon where I'm starting to really get the itch for my wife to get home and lend a helping hand. And I realize at about 5, 6 o'clock that I haven't showered in 2 days and I haven't brushed my teeth since last night, and my teeth are all gritty and grimy, and I'm thinking, oh my God, and you made a comment when we were on the phone. You said, it's like, the only time you get to yourself is when they're sleeping and they're taking a nap. And I said, no, you don't even get that moment, not even when they're sleeping, because if you barely move, they wake up. But I have this very, very dear babysitter who comes over and has been helping out a couple days a week. And she usually comes like between 3:30 and 6:30 in the afternoon just to kind of give me a little relief. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm like a kid on Christmas Eve looking out the window for Santa Claus. I'm holding my daughter, and Andre's down on the ground, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, it's almost here, man. The good times are almost here. And she comes in the door, and I want to come back to saying that I've had so many moments of really having the joy of creating these little imaginary worlds with my son, running around and playing and, building houses with blocks and things and singing to my daughter. And all of these things have been wonderful, but it has been a great challenge. And it's been one that's really lended a great awareness to me to have a big appreciation for the stay-at-home mothers, the stay-at-home fathers, and even, I can't even imagine, but a huge appreciation for the single parents that raise children on their own.
I shared with you the other day that I think in a lot of cases, especially when the children are in constant need of things and they're either infants or even the ages of my daughters at 5 and 7, they're really self-sufficient, but at the same time, what they need is different. With your kids right now, with Anne, I mean, obviously she's an infant, and so she needs you to change your diaper. She needs you to feed her.
Yeah.
Rowan and Amron, they need my time. They want to play with me all the time. They want me to get them stuff all the time. They're asking for snacks all the time. They're doing all these things. So it always shifts. And I shared with you the other day that sometimes I feel as though going to work is the easy job. I'm not too psyched about the job that I have right now, but quite frankly, it's easier than what my wife does. And that's my perception. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But it is a drain. And it's okay to say that. You can say that and still love and adore your children and have those moments that you were talking about. But it is a drain. It's tiresome. It's burdensome. I remember Jen saying she felt as though she hadn't had an adult conversation in 3 days. I mean, you almost start to become unintelligent.
Right? I totally agree. And what I've done, and I've kicked myself in the butt for doing this, but as a result of being so disconnected from the working world or an adult conversation
disconnected, that's a good word.
Yeah, I've stayed up like till 1 o'clock in the morning editing some of our shows or doing some work on my website or, emailing back and forth with some old friends and stuff. And then so the next day I wake up and I'm exhausted, but it's this part of me that it's seeking for some kind of achievement to get something done.
Sure.
And
that's not the dishes or the diapers or things like that.
Exactly. And this leads me to a little quote from this book that I want to share with our audience, which is one of the most, if not the most powerful book that's changed my life. It's by Charles Eisenstein. It's called The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. I'm going to post that up there for you. I highly recommend checking this book out. It's an incredible book to expand your awareness on so many different life areas. But this particular paragraph was very powerful for me when I first read it, and so powerful for me that as a stay-at-home father, experiencing the great challenging wall within myself of feeling like I can't do another minute, and just waiting for either the babysitter or my wife to come home. This has lended a huge amount of support for me. It says, when my elder 2 children were young, I was for several years a stay-at-home dad, immersed in a world of diapers and groceries while trying to write my first book. I often felt terribly frustrated, torturing myself with thoughts like, I have such important things to share with the world, and here I am, changing diapers and cooking all day. These thoughts distracted me from the gift at hand and made me less present with my children. I did not understand that those moments when I gave in to my situation, put down my writing, and fully engaged my children had just as powerful an effect on the universe as any book I would write. We don't always have the eyes to see it, but everything has its karmic effect, or as in the Western religions say, God sees everything.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah, so like I have, all of this bubbling energy of wanting to create and wanting to get out there and make a change in the world, and not realizing that at this particular moment of my life, the biggest change that I can make to this world, the biggest contribution I can make is to be present with my children.
Yeah, you know what? And to kind of collapse it, it sounds as though what he's saying is we feel as though we should be doing something better or more important or more challenging or more in tune with who we are, which completely minimizes where you are at that moment. And where you are at that moment is influencing, raising, and impacting your children. We're always putting ourselves somewhere else and not paying attention to where we are. That's a very cool.
Absolutely. And the kids, man, I tell you, it doesn't matter if it's 5 days of 10-hour days. It doesn't matter how long, how many consecutive days. They're totally, perfectly fine with staying in the house. It's me that's getting stir crazy. It's me, my wife comes home and we'll have dinner. And then after dinner, she'll start doing the dishes. And I'll look at her and I'll say, "What are you doing?" And she'll say, "I'm doing the dishes." Like being, coming from this place of really helping. No, you're not. I'm doing the dishes.
Yeah.
Here's the kids. I'm doing the dishes. All right. I have found that the dishes and the laundry and house cleaning have been some of my saving grace moments.
Because that means you're away from the children.
It does for a brief moment. And, there is that part of me. And I think as parents, we have this part that struggles with, I have more love that can ever be put into words for my children. I have more, gratitude for the life that they give me as being a part of my life. And yet there are moments where I want nothing more than to be by myself.
Yeah, of course. And being at peace with that and not assigning a negative feeling to the way that you're parenting. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody needs their alone time, and everybody needs their time to be away from their wife, their children, their friends, their coworkers. You need that alone time. And it is such a rarity when you are the parent that is staying home and primarily taking care of the children. And I know we could talk about this all day. This is a great subject, and there's so much more to go into. But I think this is probably a great time to thank the viewership and
absolutely, yeah, it is. It's a topic that we will continue to speak about, and it's been an incredible journey for me. No matter how long it is for me in my life, I'll look back. I know I can say this with confidence that I will look back as my children are young adults and older, and be so grateful for these long, stir-crazy days with Thomas the Train and changing the diapers.
Absolutely.
All right, Alex, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate all your conversation today.
All right, brother.
Take care.
Take care.
Say, Henri loves vegetables.
I love vegetables.
You do?
Yeah.